Approach, Guardian. I have an awoken tale to tell you. One my brother recited to our people's children quite often. Long ago, great kestrels roamed the sky. They built ornate nests in the heavens like conquerors. But in their arrogance, they ignored whispers of storms on the wind. Until one day, one such storm swept over them. It collapsed the heavens, drowned their nests. So they fled, and the storm pursued them. Most died, but a fated few washed upon the shores of a great hollow oak. There, a mother kestrel guarded her clutch, 2 shells, bonded inseparably. A daughter, Riga, a son, Ager. Their hearts beat in unison. And they grew. Riga, intuitive and cunning. Ager, loyal but adventurous. Knowing they would one day wish to leave the Hollow to face the storm, their mother plucked feathers from her plumage, and one from each child. For Riga, she crafted a crown to keen her mind, centered by Ager's luminous feather. For Ager, she crafted a scepter, cored by his sister's obsidian feather to guide his spirit. There is truth in this tale. The scepter and crown, they are real. One I already have. The other, you will retrieve for me. When you return, I will tell you the rest. This is the gatehouse. It leads to many places. The vault where I stowed the scepter is one of those places. The atlas skews you've collected serve as star charts of sorts, used to map and navigate ley lines back when they could be freely explored. Uldren had been searching for Ager's scepter for some time when he made these. Another daring venture to win my affections, against my better wishes. He often embedded travel logs into his skews. Here.
Sister, I wonder when the spies you have following me will find these. Do you still walk the old paths we made? Mother's old tales come to mind. I've been adding to my favorite, the twin kestrels whose hearts beat as one. You'll have to tell me what you think when I return with the scepter. Mother Kestrel watched perfect daughter Riga as she plotted the infinite paths of the Hollow, as if concocting a plan for each way it could grow. But with her son Ager, Mother instead held him tight beneath her wing in the oak's hollow. She pointed starward and whispered warnings of dangerous storms and cosmic sojourners that carved chaos in the sky. The beautiful depth of the dark spots caught his eye. His imagination was arrested by them. Ager struggled against his mother's wing, yearning to leap from the tallest branch and soar to see the storms for himself. But Mother Kestrel's talon caught him. She scolded him to never leave the canopy. She held him in crushing closeness and vowed not to show him the stars again. He grew to resent her protection.
If it is still unclear, the twin kestrels represent Uldren and myself. Their mother is Sov. Uldren found Osana's prescriptions restrictive. I never considered her a mother myself, but her dreams of foresight interested me. We both saw calamity looming, Osana and I. In the distributary, where the Awoken were born, we were eternal. Osana would hide there forever rather than face the enemy. When we left to form the reef, many chose to hide with her. You're done here. I'll send for you when more skews reveal themselves.
The twin kestrels darted through the gaps between branches. The leaves formed verdant pathways. Predictably, Riga first, with Ager close behind. In those pathways they traded secrets. Secrets Riga whispered to the flock, hoping to push them beyond the hollow, beyond the forest. Most nights, Riga and Ager sat beneath the stars to dream. Twin hearts sounding a duet of beats. Like ours, Mara. I still feel yours. Still distant. In this story, Ager fixated on the dark clouded pox that marred the night above the canopy. He pointed to the starry spaces between them and asked his sister to name them. Riga never spoke a word. She already knew all their names and didn't want to crush his spirit. How charitable. One night, Ager grew impatient of her silence and pointed to one of the dark spots as it roared with thunder. "The storm is singing to us," said Ager. "We should sing back to show it we are not afraid." Riga wove her voice with his, and the thunder resounded. She did not sing with him again after that night. Rare to see stars in the ascended plane. I wish we were doing this together. Why hide the scepter if it weren't a test?
I understand you bear some knowledge of the Awoken, but our creation is still only myth to you, Warlock. Hear the truth. When the Awoken people came into being after the collapse, I was the first. As first, my chosen form defined what an Awoken could be. Thousands followed my example, willing themselves into existence within the distributary. Some, like Uldren, required help. His mind was like an unsteady fawn. No surprise he was unable to do it on his own. So I guided him, filled the gaps in his memory. I gave him a star to follow. He was bonded to me, and his devotion spiraled into pathetic recklessness. Even through death, he hasn't outgrown that dependency. I see it in him as he looks longingly to his ghost for answers. To you.
Riga worried their song had attracted the storm's attention and made plans for the flock to leave the hollow. She locked herself away to study. The separation pained Ager, like you know it does. Unable to bear the loneliness, Ager finally took to the sky. High above, the open air cradled him like star-cloth ribbonets. He felt peace in the deafening rush of wind across his feathers. Once he found them a new home, Riga would love him as he loved her. She would offer him the scepter their mother had crafted for him. The scepter that Riga selfishly kept. But as he approached the forest's edge, night fell and thunder shook his heart. Ager saw a great storm building on the horizon. Had he the scepter, he could have fought. Instead, he listened, straining through the thunder for the faint, secondary beat of Riga's twin heart. Through lightning and chaos, he followed it home. Ager told Riga of the storm, the forest's edge, and the gleaming bulbs of starlight clashing overhead. She didn't scold him or tell Mother Kestrel. She listened and heard the possibility in his tale. Gratitude. Imagine that.
In another life, I'd have appointed Aldrin Dominion of the Reef's borderlands to expand and connect the kingdom under my reign, Ager's scepter in hand. He would have used it to open doors and challenge foes best left alone. He was not unlike a guardian already, and he would have died before his time. Aldrin's fall was a predetermined point, so I hid the scepter away and gave him something safe to chase. He often strayed from that path.
Much loved by the flock, convinced a great many to fly with the twins when they left the hollow. He knelt before Riga and presented the crown of feathers their mother had crafted for her, and waited for her to respond in kind. She rose as queen, but did not gift Ager the scepter. His scepter. Despite everything, she still said he wasn't ready. It was a test of his will, right? His devotion. One he would not fail. For he was patient. So patient. Together the twins led the flock away from the oak's hollow to carve new nests in distant boughs beyond the forest's edge. Ager flew far and wide at Riga's behest, always thinking of her test, and returned home with tales of all that he had seen. Dark clouds surrounded them, Fires burned within trees, split by thunderous bolts. His twin kept his words close. Riga scattered prophetic bones and traced their curvature like weathered oaken bends. In them the signs were clear. A great storm did indeed approach, they in its path, and so they prepared themselves for war. I wish you just give it to me. I could use it to help us face what we both know is coming. It doesn't even belong to you.
This coming storm he speaks of was the flashpoint. The battle of Saturn against the Taken King. It was the shift from stability into dissonance. I failed to shape Uldren in accordance with my goals, but if I were to take all that he was and reveal that past to him now, would he be my brother? Or is it only his echoes that remain? I see many of those same beginnings leading now to different ends. Tell me, would you be so forgiving if Crow carried more of Uldren with him? Would you still accept him? A defensive ward has been engaged over the Scepter. It is a failsafe to keep it protected. Either my brother found this place without my knowledge and set it off, or the ward was engaged when the surrounding architecture suffered structural damage. There is a bypass. It is code, kept secret, in that it has been scattered across dozens of terminals throughout the Awoken territory. Fret not, you don't have to collect them. I will have the pieces consolidated and reformed. While you wait, you needn't stand idle like a lost child. Return to me. My borders are threatened. Arath's subordinate came to my doorstep as a thief. Their death is the price of encroachment. Ager's scepter carves pathways toward one's goals. The compass you carry is based off the same principles as this weapon. In Uldren's hands, it could have connected every edge of my kingdom. Through Xivu Arath, it would grant an omnipresence within the reef even I could not subdue. Deliver it safely to me. While it may never be Uldren's, it may yet serve to guide what he has become. So you wish to hear the rest of my brother's story? Fine. I will oblige you. When the storm came, Riga and Ager rode the winds to meet it. A fleet of talons at their back. A great battle ensued. The storm took, as was its nature. Many fell, Ager among them. Riga could only watch as he tumbled down, 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 until her heart beat alone. She dove into the storm, giving herself to destroy it. Riga's spirit ascended higher into the sky where she hoped to reunite with her brother. Instead, she met the thing that sent the storm. A bottomless well of grief, unreachable by reasoning or bargaining or violence. A voice in the darkness. And so, Riga gathered her feathers into an aegis of wings to shield the world below. But over the years, feathers broke away. Futility wore thin her resolve. Then, one day, her heart began to beat as it once had. Doubled, distant, but different. A beautiful echo. Hope called her home. And though she prayed to find Ager there, he never returned. I still feel Uldren's heartbeat somewhere out there. When your crow first stood in my halls, I saw an ember of my Uldren burning in his breast. Curiosity, and a sibling fondness, told me I could stoke that ember. I hope it is not a lie. I hope he is more than the last ebb of hot ash from a long dead flame. Many of his faults were not of his own making. Uldren's decisions were his, of course, but driven by whips in the hands of others. Myself included. I will have to offer him more than an old story of an empty promise if I wish to see that ember burn again. This is the path I led Uldren down. If certain actors had kept to their roles, I would have wielded Uldren Sov, Light-Bearer. But even Mara Sov cannot control everyone. I celebrate his resurrection in the light, but I detest seeing my brother rewritten, his greater self sloughed away and swept into the cellar. There is still good to draw from who he was. Don't squander it. He needs a star to guide him. Uldren or Crow, they are the same in that regard. Ager's scepter is yours, then. Both its burden and the freedom it can provide. Be careful with it, Guardian. He is prone to devotion.